it wasn't that he was not smart. It was actually quite the opposite. He's a brilliant dude. He's a brilliant guy, but just realized he learns differently. And in an environment where, man, your grades in our school, your grades dictate where you're getting stationed, what branch you're getting, what you do in the military. It's a very intense experience, and all the while getting F's when really the dude's brilliant, right? Can you see but that experience defined him so much so that now as a NASA, leader of engineers, failure doesn't, like, he's been so conditioned or trained that failure doesn't even, it's not even like, it's like almost like failure doesn't even register to him as the typical textbook definition of failure. It's like, it just made me think of the Thomas Edison experience of, the news guy who goes to Thomas Edison, oh, you failed 10,000 times. And he's like, what? I don't, what are you talking about? It's like, dude, no, I found out 9,999 ways that it didn't work. Welcome to the EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast. Like most business owners, you already know you need good business and marketing strategies to scale and be profitable. But at some point, you've hit the dreaded wall where you feel stuck and frustrated. EQ for Entrepreneurs is for business owners and leaders who are honest enough to admit that they just might be the ones holding their business back and are brave enough to change that.
We're Noble and Kathy, and every week we're having candid conversations about all things emotional intelligence and how growing that has allowed us to get out of our own way and is radically transforming both our businesses and our personal lives. This is the secret sauce strategy for modern entrepreneurs who are tired of hustling without seeing results and want to grow a business and a life that they love.
What is up, leaders and entrepreneurs and influencers? So for those of y'all that are either watching this on YouTube, on the EQ for Entrepreneurs YouTube channel, or on the podcast, on our podcast, EQ for Entrepreneurs, I want to share some takeaways that I gleaned today from interviewing one of the upcoming episodes from one of my classmates who is a NASA project manager, NASA engineer project manager, and he's in charge of, in charge of 150 NASA engineers, and phenomenal guy, phenomenal episode, and I'm excited for you guys to check it out because he just shares some really powerful lessons. And so I've got three takeaways: awareness, failure, and acceptance. Awareness, failure, and acceptance. So the awareness piece, he had, and I'll let you guys kind of go through the details and some of the stuff he shared, but he was raised by his grandparents. And that led to certain things. And one of the things I say is none of us leave our childhood unscathed. No one leaves their childhood unscathed. There are always emotional injuries that we take with us into adulthood that we have not dealt with or worked on or faced or confronted. And so, that takes awareness. It took him awareness to make that connection of why he was essentially, he's a uber achiever, a super high achiever in so many different areas, not just like, hey, this guy's a rock star in one area. He has become a rock star in a number of areas: extreme sport, mountain biking, running, cars, motorcycles, all these different areas, and his career. And he said what he was doing, what he realized was he was doing it from a place of wanting to get validation and affirmation and confirmation that he was enough, that he was, I don't know, worthy is, I don't know if that's the right word or not, but he didn't use the word worthy, so I don't want to make something that's not really there. But again, man, I think there's many of us that maybe can relate with that. Like, why have I achieved? Has it been, oh, I just want to be the best? But why? If I want to be the best, why do I want to be the best? What's the underlying thing? So, but it takes awareness. So that's the whole thing. It takes awareness. And another thing he talked about is he had a very challenging experience at West Point, the college, United States Military Academy. He majored in mechanical engineering, which is mind-boggling to me because that's a no-joke major at a no-joke school. And he had a very, very challenging time at that school. And what was interesting is, and the way that I kind of interpreted his experience there, it was almost like 4 years of failure. And you'll see what I mean. I don't mean like he failed for 4 years. Academically, he did. I mean, academically, he said he had 8 academic boards that he had to go through, and academic boards are where you're going kind of on the chopping block in this particular academic department, and they're kind of asking themselves, all the professors are like, hey, is this kid, do we want to like see if this kid can make it through, or do we just need to drop him, cut our losses, so to speak, and like just let this guy go because he's not performing well on these tests. Well, a couple huge lessons out of that. So at a very intense school, very intense major, he's lots of stress and anxiety for 4 years in this kind of failure laboratory, which really is another code name for leadership laboratory. Because what he learned later on was he had a learning disability. He was dyslexic, and I guess not in terms of anyway, I don't remember exactly how he described it, but just he had a learning disability. And he was not able to, like he said, no, I could read for 4 hours a night, my homework, and I literally I couldn't comprehend anything. But when I was in class and I was able to engage with the content, listen to the professor, go through the content, I could get it. It would make sense to me. And so I just realized I had to, learn very early on, I had to rely on and bring my A game to class, because once I got back from class, I was done. I couldn't grasp the content. I couldn't comprehend or whatever the content, just because, again, of his learning style. So it's interesting that in this environment that again, a very intense environment, it wasn't that he was not smart. It was actually quite the opposite. He's a brilliant dude. He's a brilliant guy, but just realized he learns differently. And in an environment where, man, your grades in our school, your grades dictate where you're getting stationed, what branch you're getting, what you do in the military. It's a very intense experience, and all the while getting F's when really the dude's brilliant, right? Can you see but that experience defined him so much so that now, as a NASA, leader of engineers, failure doesn't, like, he's been so conditioned or trained that failure doesn't even, it's not even like, it's like almost like failure doesn't even register to him as the typical textbook definition of failure. It's like, it just made me think of the Thomas Edison experience of, the news guy who goes to Thomas Edison, oh, you failed 10,000 times. And he's like, what? I don't, what are you talking about? It's like, dude, no, I found out 9,999 ways that it didn't work. Right. And that's how Justin thinks. He thinks very similar. Like it's anyway, it's fascinating. So awareness, failure, and then the last one is acceptance. Cause we talked about, how do you become comfortable with yourself? Because so many people aren't. So many people, so many of us are walking around with these insecurities and stuff. Number one, why? Why is that? What is that all about? But just acceptance. Come to this acceptance that, man, we all have gifts, we all have strengths, but we also have weaknesses, and our weaknesses are as much a part of our uniqueness and beauty as our strengths. And I thought, man, that's such a great point. Because what's interesting is, I don't know, I'll just speak for myself. I love being around people that are comfortable in their own skin. I love it. And it's very hard to be around people that are not comfortable in their own skin. It's a very, very different experience being in an environment or around people, or man, imagine being around a leader that is not comfortable being in their own skin. And so they're very uncomfortable. They're very insecure. Man, that can make for a very challenging experience. And so just coming to an acceptance where, you accept who you are, how God made you, your strengths, your weaknesses, and realizing that is a part of your beauty and who, and part of your story and part of your purpose. So my thoughts.